video, we are going to learn more about the higher levels of functioning of Google Maps and especially how it can be used for education. A good place to start is at maps.google.com/edu, where you can get all kinds of ideas for how to use various types of Google Maps, including Google Street Drive, and as we're going to look at in this video today about the Google Maps engine. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is look at how you can locate Google Maps. You can go to maps.google.com, or you can go from your Gmail, from your calendar, from your Drive. The main thing is to look in your browser to make sure that you're logged in with the account that you want to use. Then go to this 9-dot icon, select More and even more, and you can go to the Geo section and select Maps. It's one way you can do it. Okay, you're probably familiar with the basics of using Google Maps, so we're not going to go into that on this video. However, let's look at how to some functions that you may not be aware of. So let's do a search for 125 South Clark. And then let's go down to this little pinwheel icon at the bottom. Look at a couple of things that you can do. You can share and embed the map. So let's click that. One thing you may not be aware of is Google Maps has very long URLs. There's an ability to click short URL. And then you get a URL that you can easily send an email or a flyer announcement to other people, and it's not nearly as long. So use that if you need a short URL for any map. You can also embed that map. So if you need to put this map into a website or a wiki, a blog, you can get the link for it. There's the embed code. You can select the size that you want, and it'll put it right in for you. There is another way that you can embed a Google map into a Google site if that's what you're happening to use. So let me show you about that. Let's say I'm in this page and I want to put in another map, or I want to edit this map. I'm going to select Edit to edit the page. And then I put the cursor where I want it to go. Do Insert and go to Map. Then you enter a location. And unfortunately, it didn't find that, so we'll try Chicago. And I can select that. You can also paste a link below. You have some options here for including a border, a title, the size, and so on. Hit Select. And you'll see there's a widget that goes in there that can allow you to align it differently or to wrap it. I'm going to select Save. And there is a map of Chicago that's been inserted into that Google site. So that's just another option for you. Now let's jump back into Maps and look at how we can create your own map. I'm going to go back to the little wheel icon and select My Places. Okay, I'm going to check to make sure my browser has my CPS account in it. It did default over to my personal account. You want to always make sure it's in the account where you want the map to be, or else you won't be able to find it later. So there's a couple of options you have initially that can make things easier for you. You can set your home location and your work location. Just may make it more convenient for you for future. Now let's select Create Map and create a new map. By default, it will leave you to the entire United States, so you can search for whatever type of map you want. We'll stay in Chicago for the purpose of this video. So notice that you have a couple of things that you'll want to do right away. One thing is to title the map. So let's call this Chicago Landmarks. And you can also put a description in it. This, we can say this map represents Ms. Murphy's second period class research. We'll leave it at that. Notice that you have a little folder icon here which will allow you to go in and create a new map, open an existing map, delete the map if you don't need it anymore, set your default view, or embed it or export it. So you can always reach those functions if you need them. Okay, and the way Google Maps works is it allows you to create layers. And so you can put data in various ways, and you can toggle on and off it to be able to visualize certain things. It always starts with a base map. So here's something I wanted to show you that you may want to use to change your view. I'm going to go over here, click on this down arrow, and notice that there are 9 different options for how you can make your base map appear. And depending on what you want to do with this map, you may want to select one or the other to make your information pop out. We'll go to the satellite map for the purpose of this video. Now let's go ahead and add another layer. There is an untitled layer that's ready here. You can click on this. Let's call this museums. And so now there's a second layer that you can toggle on and off the visibility. There are layer options. At this point, you don't have anything, so you could delete the layer if you don't, if you want it. Oops. Okay, so let's search for a museum in Chicago. So we'll do Field Museum. And make sure Chicago. And it's going to give you a lot of different, various links that maybe have something to do with the Field Museum. So we're going to go in and we're just going to select the Field Museum itself and add it to the map. Next, let's say that our students are doing a little bit of research and we want them to add more information. We're going to click into this tab for the Field Museum and select Edit. And from that, they can add more information. I'm just going to jump up and get the website for the Field Museum, for example, and get the link for that, fieldmuseum.org. And I'm going to paste it in there and add. Oops, okay. There we go. And the next section here, you can add in more information about the museum, things that they've done, maybe some facts that they've found out about the museum, etc. We'll select Save. And that's how you add information to a particular pen to give more information about that. Okay, now I have preloaded the map and put on some more Chicago cultural institutions. So we have a little bit more to work with. And I want to jump up here to these icons to know what they can do. So we have the undo and we have the redo buttons, which are handy while you're working. You also have the select items, the hand, so you can move the map around. You can also add your own markers. So if I want to click on this and I want to just click at random here, add this marker, and you can put in your own customized location. So you can title it, maybe this is called My School. You can put your school's website, you can put a description, and you can save it. And you could always go back and edit it or delete it if you don't need it. But now you have your own marker there. as well. So let's keep looking. Another thing you can do is to draw lines. So we'll draw a line. Let's say you want to draw a line from your school to the lakefront. You can do that. And once you have the line labeled, you can title it. You can add a URL again, and you could always go back and edit it or delete it. Notice that the line has a center point as well, so you can pull it around if you need to edit it. You can also add other points, so you can show pathways or walking distances, whatever it is that you need to do to that line um, in order to label it. You can also just right-click on it and delete it if you don't need it anymore. Okay, let's look at this one, measuring distances and areas. This one's great. So I'm going to click on this. Let's say that I want to know the distance from my school up here to this museum. Click on it, it tells me it's 1.10 miles as the crow flies. So that's pretty helpful. And then you can just keep on going from there. So if I wanted to measure my distance to the next location, I could do that as well. Lots of implications for mathematics, for research, for geography, for social sciences. Notice that you can toggle on and off layers for visibility. This becomes more important as you are working with multiple layers. So let's toggle back on our museum layer, and I want to show you a few things you can do with this. You can click on Style, and you have a choice when you have various buttons there, various pins, to make them uniform style, a sequence, individual styles, or style by data column. So you can do that. And if you have lots of pins, that may be very important. You can also click on the Data tab, and that allows you to add research information as you work on this. So as kids are, working with this map together, they can add information that they find. The other thing you can do is deal with your labels if you want to have each one have the name in it, and perhaps you want each one to have a description visible. You can do that. If you have a lot of pins, again, on a map, it becomes a little difficult to see all those names, but if it's just a few, it's kind of nice to have them show. Okay, now let's go back and look at the coloring for this. So I'm going to mouse over all items. I have 10 pins in here right now. I'm going to select this little bucket. And notice I can do different things when I select the bucket. I can make it different shapes. So maybe I want the museums to look as stars. And maybe I want them to be green rather than color they are now. You can do that. There are more icon choices as well. So again, if you have various layers of a map, it's nice to have them be able to be distinguished. Another thing to share is that you can also associate images with a pen. So I've added another layer called Zoos, and I've added Lincoln Park Zoo. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to edit it. As mentioned before, you could add a website. You can also add the link to a particular picture. So if I'm at the Lincoln Park website, for example, and I see that I would like to use this picture, I'm going to right-click it. I'm going to copy the image URL, so I have it. I'm going to go back to my map and click in the URL of the image. Add it. Looks great. Save it. So when anybody clicks on this pen of the zoo, they're going to get more information about it. You can add details. You can again go in and edit it further. This is where the kids could put some research that they have done or further information about the zoo. Okay, in this section of the video, we are going to learn about really using the map engine to a higher level. So I've got the Chicago landmarks map. I've added another layer called CPS high schools. And so what I'm going to do is create a layer that plots out the high schools in the district. Let me show you how I got the information first of all. I went to cps.k12.il.us and selected school directory. That's available only within the network. And then I selected the category type high school to find those. And then I said click here for the export feature. And I'm able to download a spreadsheet that has a list of all the CPS high schools. From the spreadsheet, what I did is I eliminated all of the extra columns, and I just left the column that has the nickname and the school address. So that's what I did to get the basic information for this. Let's jump back to the map. One of the really beautiful features here that you can do is you can import a larger amount of information. So I'm going to click import, and I can drag that file that I just created, or I can select it, and it's going to upload. Now it's going to ask me some information. The first one is going to say which one of these columns has the address information. It could be longitude or latitude. In this case, we have addresses. So I'm going to click that one. And then it says which column has the name of each place. So I'm going to say nickname. I'm going to finish. And now it is generating a map for me, crunching the numbers here in order to create a pin for every one of the CPS high schools that was downloaded off of our directory. And the more information you have, obviously the more time it may take. Okay, here's all the CPS high schools laid out. I'll zoom in a little bit here. And the first thing I may want to do as I select this is I may want to change the color. I'll make it a little bit different color than I've used with another layer. Maybe I'll make it that color. Again, you can go into style, make them all the same, or you can add data for them. If you like to add, more data besides just the address, you can do that. You can also, select what you want to add here. So let's look at this. If I wanted to add nickname, it's going to put the name of every school by the pin. But this is a case where that is just too much. So we're going to say that we don't want the nickname there, no label, whatsoever. If I want to know what school it is, I can just put my mouse click on it and it'll tell me right there. And notice that's where I can edit. So I could put a picture of the school. I could put other information besides just the address. So this is a great way to add another layer. And then if I want to zoom in a little bit more, so let's just get in here kind of close, a little closer. This is where I can make other aspects, other layers of the map visible. The zoo, if I want to see the zoo on top of that, if I want to see the museums, which are the green stars on top of that, I can do so. So it shows relationships between various types of data. Again, I could draw lines, I could measure distances. You can go on to use that data even more strongly. Once you have your map ready, or as you're working on it, you can always share it, just like you share any Google documents, so be aware of that. Let's take a moment to look back at that MAPS educational map website. Give you some ideas of other ways that you can use Google Maps. You can create collaborative maps, get walking directions, edit places on maps in your community. use traffic patterns. You can also use it just across the curriculum. For example, let's say you have a class studying the Civil War. You could have them plot the various battlefields of the Civil War and do some research and label the map that way. If you're having the kids read a book together that has various places, it's always nice to have them be able to plot the places which are listed on the within the book in the map as well. So any aspect of the curriculum that involves like a geographical component where places can be labeled, named, and compared would be ideal for using Google Maps. Thank you for watching this video and enjoy using Google Maps.